Good day, viewers. Welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes with me, Manir Dan Ali. 30 Minutes is the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Mallam Ibrahim Shekarau, who started out as a mathematics teacher and then also an administrator. He was also the Minister of Education in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mallam Ibrahim Shekarau, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's quite a pleasure.
I want us to dwell on your earlier, work as a teacher and then later being Minister of Education. As we speak now, there's this current controversy about 18 years that the current Minister of Education is being accused of bringing something new and trying to impose it, that children must get to 18 before they go into universities. What's your take on this matter?
Well, I think, Mallam Manir, probably for you and our viewers to appreciate where I'm coming from, so that people will just think I've been part of it all my life. As you said, I've been a teacher in secondary school, a principal for 13 years in most of the most senior secondary schools in Kano. In fact, I rose through, we have a union of secondary school principals. I was a state secretary, I was elected state president, I was elected national vice president, I was elected national president. Between 1988 and 1992, for 4 years, I led over 8,000 secondary school principals in Nigeria. So, and then later became a zonal education officer, a director of planning in Ministry of Education, before becoming the permanent secretary in education, and then PAMSEC for 7 years, and later governor, later Minister of Education.
So you've seen it all as far as the education sector especially is concerned.
What I think, why I bring this, so that people will know that we've known it all. I have by my fingertips the national policy on education. What the minister said is nothing new. It has been there in the books. Through all the reviews of the national policy on education, that has always been there. You see, what people don't seem to understand or know is that in the school system, there is the curriculum, right from primary one up to the university. Each year of the curriculum, right from primary one, is designed with the age of the participant in mind. That is the age of the student.
Of the students, right.
Okay. Exactly. The primary one program, or the 6-year primary program, is intended to cater for a child between the age of 6 to 12. In the past, before the change of the policy, when I and you probably and many others of our age attended primary school, attended 7-year primary school. You have 7 years in primary school. You have 5 years in primary school, that gives you 12, in secondary school, if you come in with 6 years. 6 years of primary school, that gives you 12. If you add the 5 years of secondary school, which I and many of my age attended, that gives you 17. And if you add the 2 years of the advanced learning, the A-level, which we call the A-level, the HSC of 2 years, that gives you 18. So by the time you finish the advanced level of 2 years, the A level, you're already 18 into the university. And even by the time the policy changed the years, this terminal point of 18 is still there. When you come back now to 6 years of primary school, plus the 6 years of age, now you have another 6 years of secondary school. It's like removing 1 year out of the old 7 years primary school into the secondary school.
Right.
Instead of 5, it became 6. 3, 3, that is 6. And then 4 years of the university.
So it will still give you the approximate age of.
So I think
but some parents appear to want to just push their children so that they finish school early.
Which is wrong. You see, passing exam doesn't necessarily mean you are an educated person. You see, we have teaching syllabus at both primary, secondary, and even the university. It is from the teaching syllabus, which was prepared with a particular age in mind, that WAEC, the examination bodies, WAEC, NECO, and what have you, JAM, they sift from the teaching syllabus to prepare the examination syllabus. But most parents think that if their child can pass the examination, if you take
good to go.
Yes, if you take a 12, 13-year child now and decide to drill him on past question papers of WAEC or NECO, he'll be able to pass it. But that does not make him an educated secondary school leaver.
And then also maybe psychologically,
exactly,
he's not at the age to be.
He's not really mentally ready.
Yes.
This does not mean we do not have exceptional genius children. Even in the Quranic schools, we do have 10-year-old or 12-year-old that has become Hafiz al-Quran. But that does not mean that every average, the syllabus is prepared with the average people in mind. You can have exceptional children. And I've heard parents complaining that if their child takes the WAEC and NECO and passes with the best grades at the age of 16 or 17, then that means they have to wait for 1 year or 2 years before they get to the university. Even if he passes the WAEC at the age of 13 or 14, the idea is the education he's going into the university will only be relevant to his mental capacity as from the age of 18. So it's nothing new. I expect maybe the Federal Ministry of Education need to do a lot of explanation on this. I've had some media houses misquoting the minister, I believe, saying that nobody will take WAEC or NECO until you are 18. No, that's not the issue. Taking your exam is different from entry into a particular level. You may probably, at the age of primary school, you take what we commonly know as the common entrance exam. Yeah. If you take a child at primary 4 or 5 and you drill him, you'll be able to pass your common entrance exam.
Which is exactly what many parents are doing.
Exactly.
But I don't know, what do you do to accommodate those you mentioned as exceptional and gifted children? What special arrangement will there be for them?
I think former Minister of Education, Jibril Aminu, introduced this to address that aspect.
There's a gifted child school. I think there's one in Gwagwalada.
Exactly. I don't know whether it is still operating. Even at our own level, I remember in 77 or 78, the then military governor of Kano State, Kano State, introduced the special science secondary schools, Dawakin-Kudu and Dawakin-Tofa. What they did was they sift out from the primary school the best brains through aptitude test, interviewing. They select the best and send them to the science secondary school. So government at state level, at federal level can still implement such program so that you don't deny or drag back exceptionally few talented children. You identify them at primary level or at secondary school, allow them to go through. This does not mean you will skip some years for them.
But then what happens, does it mean they can get into university before 18? I've just seen something circulated on social media about some 17-year-old that has just finished PhD somewhere.
No. These are the kind of very exceptional cases that you can have. But I am totally supporting the view that 18 years is the ideal age of going into the university. You can have maybe somebody going to the university at the age of 15, 16, 17 and coming out with first class. That does not mean he did not qualify to have first class, but I assure you, the average people that go into the university before the age of 18, most of them will not be fully educated. Educated in the sense that they will not be able to assimilate and accommodate the entire education prepared, the curriculum that they are being taught. Probably they depended on the drilling on past question papers. As I said earlier on, you can easily pass. And again, most state governments are not really seriously concerned with the private institutions. There's nothing wrong in private schools. We have many private primary schools, many private secondary schools,
and
universities. I welcome this. I always encourage us to have many more to accommodate the number of children that we have on ground. But a number of private schools are abusing the official process as contained in the policy on education.
When I became of weak inspection?
That's true. When I had the privilege of becoming the permanent secretary in education, 94 to 95, I had cause to close down many private primary schools. We set up an intensive inspection. We went around, checked the curriculum. We discovered some primary schools, some private schools are registering children for common entrance exam from class 4 primary or class 5. They don't observe all the years, and many, the atmosphere, the conducive environment is not even there for the teaching.
And then there's also the challenge of the so-called miracle centers
that
always end up getting the best results.
Exactly. Exam malpractices. We found some private schools, they do not have the right teachers. You get a teacher probably who read a different subject matter, teaching a different subject, and instead of getting the correct teachers, some of them we found they have only 2 or 3 teachers. Some even converted a kitchen into a classroom, a 3-bedroom flat, being called a school. So there are a lot of abuses, and I think it is a challenge to the inspectorate unit, which is now called quality control units, and right from the federal to the state level, unfortunately, not much attention and support is being given to the quality control units. When I came on board in 2014 as Minister of Education, I discovered that the quality control department, which is supposed to have branches and staff in all the states, did not have even a single movable vehicle.
And I'm not sure how
to go out on inspection. To go out on inspection, you see, we had to make a case, a serious case. When I was in education ministry in the state as a permanent secretary again, we had to review all of it. In fact, we transformed the Kano Educational Resource Center, that is our quality control center. We made sure only experienced, old enough teachers are posted there as inspectors. A situation whereby an experienced teacher is posted to the inspectorate unit, is supposed to go out and inspect people that are 3, 4, 5 grades higher than him.
He wouldn't be able to perform that.
He wouldn't even have the confidence. And the person being inspected wouldn't have the loyalty, because he knows that the person inspecting him and guiding him, he is more experienced. So all this thing has to be rechecked. And
now there's even the problem at all levels, both private and public schools, where the problem you mentioned is there, which is that teachers even in core subjects are lacking, and many state governments are not willing to even employ new teachers. It's left to communities to be given maybe 10,000 or so to people to be taken.
In fact, the priorities have been left out. As a teacher, I know 2 major components make a school: the teacher and the instructional material. If you have this correctly, you can even produce first class under the tree. Yes, the environment matters, classroom matters. So when a government embarks on building of classrooms, putting furniture, that is capital project, bringing the children. If you don't have the teachers, all you're having is a refugee camp. No more, no less. So the teacher, which is mostly being neglected, and the instructional materials. We have had instances, we see stories in some states where ordinary chalk that you use in the classroom, because primary and secondary, if you don't, you have to do the blackboard chalk teaching.
So if you don't have that,
if you don't have, there is no school. And the major subjects now universities require for entry, mathematics and English. You discover that almost more than 50–60% of the public schools are lacking these teachers. So it is left to the government to make a very serious drive in recruitment of teachers. It's not just building the schools, but unfortunately, if you bring in inexperienced people to lead, they will think that building schools and putting the furniture, people will clap, you go and celebrate. And increasing the intake, which is of course a very major requirement, but where are the teachers? Within 6 months, you can have the billions to construct many classrooms, many new schools.
It takes much longer to get
but of
the
course,
right teachers.
Can you produce the qualified teacher in 6 months? No. So these two must go concurrently while you are expanding the schools, admitting the children to increase the number of enrollment. You must also have the other complementing aspect of the teacher, which is a long-term thing. You have to prepare them, go to the teachers' colleges, colleges of education, the minimum teaching qualification now being the NCE.
We'll come back to this in greater detail when we resume from a short break.
Thank you.
Viewers, it is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is the former Minister of Education, Mallam Ibrahim Shekarau. Welcome back. It is still 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Mallam Ibrahim Shekarau, the former Kano State Governor and former Minister of Education. We are talking education before we went on break. Apart from teachers, apart from instruction materials, what about the curriculum itself? Because people are saying that much of Nigeria's education doesn't seem to relate back to the reality and the needs of Nigeria of the future.
Well, I think this is those who argue this way are very correct. You see, the instability in governance has contributed largely to this. I recall one of the period we had the review of the National Policy on Education was between 76, 77, 78, when we introduced the UPE program, Universal Primary Education. That was a very major drive during the military administration. And as a result of that, a component of instructional materials, a component of the 6334, that was when it started. The idea was that the products of the UPE will be the ones that will start the 6-year program, which is broken into two. Yes. The first junior secondary school was intended to be heavily more of functional education, meaning teaching of various trades.
Yes, skills and vocations.
Skills, just like the old craft school that we had. The military government of Obasanjo made all the arrangements, made all the policies. Then the Shagari government came together with the various state governors. Then they ordered the importation from, I think, South Korea or North Korea and some other countries of heavy equipment, heavy machines, to start the introductory technology curriculum in our junior secondary schools. People that will learn woodworking, metal working, and refrigeration, electricity, and so on, like the old craft school. The equipment came, but by 1983, that government was truncated again by the military, and when the military government came, all these things were abandoned. I remember...
So the rot started from there.
Exactly. I was a school principal then. We had all of these machines and the equipment in their cartons taken to our schools. The new government, the new military government, you know, when they came, their concern was to make sure they have the acceptability and so on and so forth. This program was petitioned. The students have come on board. The first product of the UPE came between 1982-83. They came in millions of them, but almost all the states were not ready to accommodate them.
But why were we not able to reset after that, I mean,
Well,
you are even minister, haven't we, of the same education ministry, haven't we addressed that problem?
Now you see,
then.
much as the professionals are there, most of these things are dictated by the policies of the government in place. If a government comes, whether central government or state government that comes and places its priority differently, there is very little the professionals will do in terms of bringing on board all of these issues. Just take, for example, if we go back to this 18-year thing, probably all the past years, not much was done to insist. Now that the federal government has come back to this policy, I expect the Federal Ministry of Education, through all its agencies, will put in place, put their feet down. No university, no public university or private university is allowed to admit anybody at the age of less than 18. So you see, it all depends on the situation coming from the policy makers. Up till today, we continue to do. So the students of the UPA that came into secondary one, who were supposed to do the first 3 years on introductory technology, the equipments were there. And another problem that scuttled that program was that no plans were made to train the instructors. You can't bring
so it was all haphazard.
Yeah, exactly. When you bring the equipment, no plan was done to produce the instructors. So even if you install the equipment, the machines, the teachers were not there.
But it is now 50 or so years since that time.
Exactly.
Haven't we retooled? Haven't we changed direction? Haven't we, the ministry and the policy makers and the government, haven't we addressed that now? Why is it that still we are producing more liberal arts than science and technology, which we are being reminded is the future?
To some extent that was being addressed. I remember, I don't know whether the policy is still there. Most of our universities were guided to give up to about 70% emphasis on science and technology, more than the arts and social sciences. I don't know whether that
I'm not sure the figures support that. I mean, the admission figures of both public and private universities.
And you see, we still need much more of the university, even though one may argue that the current one, if you look at the various strikes, the complaints of the ASU and the universities, but up till today, from the records we read from JAM, not more than 30% of Nigerian young people who want to go to university get admitted.
But why the obsession with universities? In other climates, I mean, universities matter, but not the way we are so obsessed
in
with
fact,
them.
even the new the national policy is no longer new. We used to call it new in the 70s. Says that those, right from the secondary education, only those capable and willing, is there as stated in the policy. If you finish secondary school, going by the introductory technology component I mentioned earlier on, because they are supposed to be employable at that age. So the policy says only those capable can go on to senior secondary school level, which means this middle level, the craft people level, should be given much attention, like our polytechnics, our colleges of education, and so on, producing the middle level cadre of the economy, which is far, far more important than by the time you finish up to the university,
with all the professors,
the
academics,
and you find that
what have you. But they argue, they push back and say, look, without the universities, the society is lost. So it's a catch-22.
But at the same time, the middle level, particularly the polytechnics, that produce the middle level, particularly the trade aspect, the arts and crafts people, are no longer receiving the required attention.
Which may probably explain why we have to get tilers from Togo, from other places, even when we should be exporting them to other countries.
Yes, these are some of the challenges, and I think my only appeal that the education sector and those in charge we'll revisit back. When I was there as minister,
I wanted to say, what did you do?
No, I set up, I was there only for 10 months, but that notwithstanding, I set up a very powerful committee to address two issues. One, the issue of the teacher situation, and number two, the involvement of the community. We wanted everybody to come back to our senses to see where we were and what was the problem. We've gone far. We've drawn up a program of almost about a month program, which we call Special Program on Teacher Education. The president approved it, but at a point we wanted to call the summit, a very one-week summit, to address the issue of teacher education. Then the president said elections were coming, we were all busy with campaigns. I came in June 2014. By the end of the year, the attention is already on the election of 2015. And I remember President Jonathan was saying, this is a beautiful program to revisit.
At the wrong time.
Not a wrong time, but he was saying, God willing, if I am able to come back in 2015, we will make sure we even program with the dates and everything. But he said, the attention of most people now that we want to really come bring on board the entire communities. We had program which include, for example, I said we will be having a policy that the beginning of every national news, whether public or private media, they must make a statement on the importance of the teacher. We will make it compulsory on all print media to have a front page corner to print something every day about the importance of the teacher.
But this sounds like North Korea, though I don't want to belabel that.
So,
I want to take you one final question.
Yes.
You are in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Are you concerned with the seeming obsessions of the national legislators of creating new universities, new colleges of education, new polytechnics, even when we cannot sustain the current
one? You see, I've mentioned this a little a while ago. I said we still need, you see, the urge. We're trying to balance between the demand for vacancy and also the high demand of quality. You have to manage the two along the line, not only
by creating more.
No. That's
it reminds me of that Hausa saying, she can't put it on her head and she adds more.
But you see, not even the university, even at the primary school level. Now there is the clamor of children out of school in millions. I have always asked myself, imagine tomorrow, Mallam Manir, if all the parents of these 10 million, 12 million people out of school come to say, okay, government, we are concerned, we are ready now. Here are the children. Please take them to the school. Are we ready?
Quite chaotic, but we must end it there because we've exhausted the time allotted to this program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.